I will say, guys, as is a bad habit of mine, but I'm trying to get better at. Um, it's late, so that means that I'm going to have a bit of time to stream Crusader Kings 2, but it is going to be a little bit of a it is going to be a shorter stream, and I'd love to fix that, especially because I'm really enjoying Monks and Mystics. So time that I spend away. Hello, Jesse Quill. Thank you very much for that, host. Obviously, time that I spend not doing, Crusader Kings is time that I really don't get to spend on a DLC that I quite enjoy. But one of the, I guess, good bits of news is that the stuff that's pulling me away from streaming in general is actually stuff that you guys will get to participate in a little bit later. But with that in mind, I do like Crusader Kings, and we've got a pretty good run going here with Monks and Mystics, and of course I was given a key for this from Paradox. So I do want to make sure that I'm somewhat consistent in terms of my my playthrough. So how are you doing tonight, Jess? Thank you very much for the viewers. Hello to everybody who came in through Jesse Quill's stream. Let me just think a little bit. There's a few things to do. I think maybe a recap of where all of this is going. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I can talk about for the playthrough, or if we should just jump straight into it. So one of the things that we did, for those of you who maybe are new to Crusader Kings 2, we started off this playthrough as kind of a family. I was a count of Mets. We've since expanded our holdings. And sort of the goal was to play a succession of devil worshippers who would corrupt the Holy Roman Empire over time. Now, what was particularly funny here was that I had this character who secretly embraced the Lollard faith and didn't have any sin, so I couldn't actually get him as a member of Lucifer's Own. But what I did wind up doing was sort of embracing this heresy. Now, as it turns out, there were a lot of secret Lollards, including the Kaiser, and we finally got strong enough that we sort of declared that we would be, we were basically changing the religion. So the state religion of the Holy Roman Empire is now the Lollard heresy. Obviously, the counties have not been updated, and they're currently digesting these heresies. So, while the Satanists were busy running around with their foolishness, they didn't actually accomplish that much. And what I'm doing now is I joined in on the conspiracy, and I'm now relaxing the assumption that I always need to be a Satanist. And it's actually not a bad thing to do too, because it does allow me to explore some of these other secret societies. I think in the most recent patch, Roguelike Girl, thank you very much for that, host. I think actually in the most recent patch, they actually added secret societies based around heresies. I don't think that was always the case. I know there was a Shia one, so I could be mistaken. But in any case, it's a really fun little event that happened. It was totally unexpected, and what this is going to allow me to do is start exploring a few different secret societies. This character has got some very good stats, including a very high learning, which I believe is required to join the Hermetics. And I don't really know a whole lot else. That we can write a paper, which would be kind of interesting, I think. Been hanging out to watch some CK2. I'm so sorry it took so long to get going. I need to get my life a little more organized, I think. Anyways, so with that introduction, we're going to be doing a few different things. We've already got my my chaplain out there proselytizing. I'm still going to get my spy master to scheme. We'll collect taxes and Mets because I currently owe Jewish moneylenders. I'm getting research done for military, and that's mostly because my most immediate threats are pretty weak now. So we have... Oh, hang on. I think I have the entire duchy now. I do. So what our next step is going to be, I think we said we were going to... we're going to start taking on these territories so that we could finally found the kingdom that I wanted. I'm going to guess this guy doesn't want to be vassalized. Nope. And I can't because we're both dukes. So I think we'll... let's not stand on ceremony. Let's start fabricating the claim. Malcontents on my council, but they don't really count for anything. What can I do laws-wise? We can adjust this. In 2 years, and I think we might actually change status of women in this case. All right. And yeah, we're all set. So I think we're going to unpause and just let things kind of go where they may. Now, as far as... Hang on, is there disease running all over the place? No, I don't understand why she's in seclusion then. Anyway, so when we're taking a look at our most immediate threats, maybe it would be nice to take a look sort of duchy-wise. So we've got 7.7k right now, and we're actually, we're down about 1,100 troops, so we're more realistically about 8k. So our nearest neighbor, 5,000 troops. Baden's sitting on 4,000. Mites, 4.5. 2,000 seems really small. Oh wow, nope. Luxembourg just doesn't have that much. Oh, Holstein. Alright, I got a daughter. To the good wit Rudolph, your wisdom and mercy are legendary. We would like you to back our plot to fabricate a claim on the Holy Roman Empire by King Rutger the Cruel of Bohemia. No. And this was a bastard child, so we'll acknowledge her as mine, but go no further. I'm still currently doing a seduction focus. I think I'm actually going to change that now, and we're going to take on a business focus, seeing as I no longer need to worry about keeping my my intrigue up for the purposes of the society. Yeah, not a problem at all, Lieutenant Dan. I've been a little inconsistent on my Monday streams anyway, so no need to apologize. I don't take attendance, but I'm always very happy to have you here. Now, exams, this was for the first responder, wasn't it? Or I guess, no, CPR wasn't it? Young Walpurvis finished her education in the ways of war. I notice with pride that she has attained nothing less than a masterful level of knowledge. And she's ambitious, so we gotta marry her off to, like, somebody really important. This'll do. It's going to be a matrilineal marriage, so in this case, she's going to the offspring are going to be our bloodline. Already CPR certified, finishing high school. Ah, gotcha. I just lost some audio. Ah, there we go. We're back. All right. So basically, just getting rid of one of the daughters. You've got a new child. So this is one of the bastards. In this case, he's going to have a hard life, so we'll teach him Kampf. Ripped pillows, broken furniture, shattered vases. My marriage to Berta has devolved into an unending torment of bitter arguments and fiery rows. I would be depressed, but my lover, Lucentia, just suggested that we retire to the countryside for a few carefree days of romance. Oh, sorry, for a few days of carefree romance and passion. What a splendid idea. All right. I think here we're... Oh yeah, I said I wanted to try some of these plot things. So, the magnificent Duke Rudolph II, your wisdom and mercy are legendary. I've decided to accept your suggestion that Walpurga and Prince Ian get married. All children of the union will be of her dynasty. So there's not a whole lot to do with this because in the end this is somebody in the Byzantine Empire. It's very unlikely that we're going to be able to get claims that we'd actually be able to press on it. But I figured it's not bad to get a little bit of, I don't know. What I'm looking to do right now is actually generate Elcanu. Thank you very much for that, host. I think I'm going to have to start doing some shout-outs now because we've got Jesse Quill coming in, we've got Elcanu coming in, and between their viewers, and then of course all you fine people, Roguelite Girl, Lieutenant Dan. We've got a healthy audience who was she and why do I care? I don't know, we've got a healthy audience. So, welcome everybody. And congratulations, as I said, Elcanu. I'm going to generate Elcanu, indeed. I have my own private Elcanu that can appear whenever I want. Also, everybody, Elcanu is my favorite French caster of one. No, that's not true, actually. I've gotten to see some other, I've got to see some other French casters now that Elcanu's introduced me to them. So I can't make that joke anymore. But I will say that Elcanu is from France. He's currently in the United States. And so over the weekend, he has earned at least 1 month of extra smugness as a French... I don't know if he was a French voter, but at least as a citizen. Actually, you know what? Shoutout time seems good, so I'll do it in the order of people doing their hosts. So Jessie Quill has actually been doing a charity stream for with Star Wars. She has got a great love of Star Wars. She did it for the 4th of this month, or as I like to call it, Talk with a Lisp Day. She's been playing Republic Commando, which I've never actually had the experience of. But she always does a wonderful job with games. In fact, one of my favorite Star Wars games that I got to watch her play were the Jedi Knight series. But she's a really wonderful caster. I think someday in the future, it might be a private game that we play together. But if that goes well, I might be able to convince her to come on here. But she's somebody who has gained a little bit of interest in playing Crusader Kings 2. So maybe that's in the future. If you guys put enough pressure on her, maybe that will happen. But only after a private game between... yeah, maybe only after a private game. And then on top of that, we've got Elcanu, who, like I said, is my favorite French caster. And I originally started watching him because I was looking to improve my French. Now, I don't know whether or not my French has improved because I'm speaking a lot more English in his cast recently. But I think this is just because I want to be fast in my responses. But Elcanu is a very gifted entertainer. And I wound up buying a game basically after watching him play in a foreign language. So if that doesn't tell you how entertaining this man is, I really don't know what will. He is, like I said, he's very entertaining. He has a really wonderful personality, as does Jess, but we're talking about Elcanu now. And a very diverse set of games. I found out that the Dead Cells game that we were playing the other night, he also has a key for. And I don't know when he's going to, but I did have to give him a quick message saying, it's like, you got to play this, it's really fun. So one of the challenges, of course, is that usually, at least my favorite streamers are very interesting people all around, which means that they have other things to do in life, and it's always hard to make the time. But I can tell you, you will see games that you've never heard of that Elcanu plays, and you will almost certainly want to buy them after watching them. So he's a wonderful caster, he's got a great love of gaming, and I definitely encourage you to check out both of those streamers as well. In addition, I believe Roguelite Girl is a streamer. Now, I haven't managed to catch her recently, so I don't know what she's been playing, but... should maybe give people a chance to shout themselves out if I can't do the job myself. A courier just arrived carrying a letter from Magus Baldemar. Reading the letter, I see it as an invitation bidding all members of the Hermetic Society to attend the grand debate. A most excellent opportunity to display my knowledge. Stardew Valley? Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley. Oh! The child of Satan's still running around. My beloved Uncle Dightwin is dead. He was found lifeless in his bed, face frozen in a terrible grimace, with a trickle of blood running down his cheek. The physicians can find nothing wrong with the body. It's as if he had died of fright of a terrible nightmare. There are dark rumors about the so-called demon child, my Aunt Ermel again. As always, when something terrible happens, she does seem inordinately happy. Could it really be murder? Hello, Dylan the Zombie 33. I'm so sorry 32 others managed to get to the Dylan the Zombie, but you will always be the most precious Dylan the Zombie to me. How are you doing tonight? I don't remember, Roguelite Girl. Were you here either of the times that we did Stardew Valley on this stream? According to your marshal, Guido von Metz, the peasants of Lorraine are having frequent troubles with highwaymen and wild beasts. He just suggests constructing spires of outposts along the roads of Lorraine. The peasantry would feel much safer, and it might even lead to more peasants moving to the county. So, a safe peasant is a productive peasant. Now, that's going to cost us 28 gold, which I'm not crazy about, but it does gain prestige, which is, of course, the score of the game. Revolt risk will go down, which I'm not too worried about, but the game has added prosperity. So, a lot of these games that used to be... it's definitely, like, some of these things that maybe used to be kind of less appealing options, the fact that they increase the prosperity of a county actually helps out, so... Oh, sounds good, Dylan the Zombie. Do you have... I'm quite well. Do you have Monks and Mystics? Have you been playing that? Or are you playing some of the older material? Thane Unconquerable, this is just vanilla Crusader Kings 2. The only mods that I'm running are one for a little... just a slightly different water effect. And then I also have one which sort of... it sort of puts a bit of a transparency on the colors of the map, basically just so you can sort of see the underlying territory. It doesn't retain like the trees and things like that, but no no mods other than that. The Knights of Calatrava. The Order of Calatrava is the most recent addition to the Soldiers of the Cross, having just been endorsed in a decree issued by the Catholic Church. These knights take their name from a castle recovered in Iberia from the clutches of the Moslem infidel, and they stand ready to combat heathens and defend the pious in the name of any Catholic ruler who is willing to provide for their upkeep. More sheep to the slaughter. We're getting this because something unusual happened here, especially for the new players. Last cast, the Kaiser decided that he had always embraced the Lollard heresy, of which we were also a member. And the Holy Roman Empire is no longer Catholic. So, slight adjustment to history, but, you know. You have all the DLC, although you disable devil worshipping, breaks the game a bit too much. Yeah, so I think I'm reading that a lot on the forums. I am not too bothered by it. I also got into Crusader Kings 2 a little bit late in the game. But I was like, I kind of get where people are going. I think the bigger overall complaint that I would have, and I'm generally okay with sort of the ride, but I do tend to notice the supernatural has sort of become a little more front and center into the game, and so it isn't quite the historical sim that I originally learned on stream. And it's still enjoyable in its own right, but it does feel like the game has taken a slightly different trend. And as you could say, I actually think it was a smart decision on their part to sort of disable those elements on the odd chance that that you maybe wanted to go back to the old days. But I'm still somewhat warmed to the DLC. Johnny Big Time, how are you doing? Great to see you again too. So, being at the debate is a draining process. I have not had a good night's sleep since I got here. Either I cannot fall asleep due to a searing pain in the back, or I get woken up by loud arguments outside about yesterday's debate topics. Days like these, I long for my warm and cozy bed. I can say these accommodations are the worst. I get negative 0.5 to health, or I can't take this anymore, I want to go home. Well, we're still pretty young, so I think if I'm going to be taking a hit to my health, I should probably do it right now. Guys, I was doing some shoutouts a little bit earlier, and I would be remiss not to mention you're fine with the regular supernatural thing because it totally captures the mysticism and flavor of the Middle Ages, but the whole Satan can regrow your penis or whatever is a bit too blatant. Yeah, well, see, this is the thing that I like. The supernatural has always been part of Crusader Kings 2. It's just always been a very rare event, and you've always had sort of this plausible deniability, whereas now it's, it's very overt. Now, in fairness, where we had started off in this playthrough, I was specifically playing sort of a succession of Lucifer's own members trying to corrupt the Holy Roman Empire until, well, that happened. My liege, I am pleased to report that your errant subject, Maria von Metz, has converted to the Catholic faith. No! No, that's not what I want you to do. Oh, God. I didn't even think of that. I thought he'd just do... Alright, I gotta get this heathen away from my... Do I have like a... bad news from Metz. My efforts to squeeze extra taxes out of the population have been met with resistance, and the peasants are arming themselves. I fear we might have a revolt on our hands soon. Alright, let's just pause and see. See, his stats are so good. Is he one of the... No, it's my marshal. Yeah, we gotta get a proper... We gotta get a proper chaplain here. No heathens. Well, we just just started them. But yeah, it's I don't know. Like I think it's a little bit to each their own. And the other thing I should say too, like because I was playing a succession of devil worshippers, clearly it was my decision to make the supernatural so overt. But I mean, let's face it, nobody gets monks and mystics to play anything but the devil worshippers. Does not love... Oh yeah, so Johnny Big Time, we had a... For the benefit of those not familiar, the Lollards. Lollard heretics are opposed to the perceived corruption within the Catholic Church. Like many Catholic heresies, they loathe the wealth and ostentation of the clergy and advocate a return to the more original form of Christianity. This heresy has no formal head and no special game mechanics. So yeah, Johnny Big Time, the Holy Roman Empire is now a major state devoted to heresy. Many distinguished themselves during the debates. None, however, performed as well as Prince Archbishop Trilocampta, who has been declared the winner of the grand debate. Congratulations are in order. The grand debate ends, and I was not able to win. I did, however, show some skillful debating during a few arguments that got applauded by others. Noteworthy success, 50 prestige, and for 3 years will gain bonus to diplomacy and learning. And we've got a daughter, may or may not be a bastard. Nope, seems my amorous adventures have resulted in a child. Little Ingletrude is my spitting image. So for those keeping score, 1, 2, 3, 4 legitimate living children. Beatrix was burnt at the stake by order of Basileus Kerachaios. Oops. And sure, I'll be appointed commander to die on the front lines. Alright. Well, in fairness, she was a bastard, so that's not as bad. I will maybe reconsider marrying her off to a Greek, though. Crusade for Jerusalem fails. Jesus, it seems, does not favor the Christian faithful. After a string of defeats and setbacks, Pope Castilus II has called off the Crusade for Jerusalem against Caliph Yaha. Yeah, the aim on this one was not to, not necessarily to acquire titles, although, I mean, for us, we started off in Metz, and now we have Upper and Lower Lorraine, so that just sort of happens. But I also didn't really use the satanic powers for that. That was more of a vanilla playthrough, but I don't know, it's enjoyable in its own sense. Oh, you mean in terms of the artifacts? I like this this touch quite a bit. I particularly like the fact that I don't know, like some of these I got through events. So the skull trophy came from one of the Lucifer's Own events, which was kind of fun. Okay. I believe we married into... Yeah, we did. Alright, so again, in this case, we're in a little bit of a holding pattern. I don't need to worry so much about keeping money in my treasury for mercenaries, because I do sort of outdo... She... Well, I mean, in fairness, she's probably pretty mad at me for all the affairs, so I don't blame her for converting. Okay, can I demand her conversion? Huh, I guess not. As she's growing older, as he is growing older, I can see that Wolfgang could use some... Which one's Wolfgang? No, Peter is the one I care about. Could use some guidance in some of my experienced areas. It will require hard work and will not always be appreciated, but this is my chance to make a self-sacrifice for the sake of him. In this case, I'm going to say he must learn on its own. It's mostly because I don't want to take penalties for somebody who's really not going to be a major player in the kingdom. I also did, to the learned Duke Rudolph, blessings upon you and your house. We propose that Prince Rutger of Bohemia and Maria von Metz marry. Sure. And apparently the nun's habit really did it for me. My wife Berta is pregnant. Hello, Pyrobama. How you doing? So the first thing that I'm going to do is pay off that loan. He is of the bloodline, so let's teach him duty. So one of the things that I've been doing, I'm focusing a little bit on making sure that I have lots of family members to give titles to, because you've got a maximum of 2 duchies that you can hold. I've got kind of all the titles that I need. I actually have a little bit of a surplus, although I'm not too upset about that. I won't change the centralization until I absolutely have to, simply because this guy has some abnormally high stats compared to what some of my others will be. My daughter Wilhelmina has, through the teachings of Gotzeldo, has been studying the principles of the Lollard faith. Excellent. I think the Lollard thing is also going to resolve itself after a couple of generations anyway. But, the next few steps are going to be to get some more territories. That's just kind of natural blobbing out. If we can't be voted as the head of the Holy Roman Empire, then we'll at least... Alright. My court chaplain is being a big baby. Oh! Slow favor, which is moving quite counter to its name. Oh, that's a good question, actually. Have we built the infrastructure? Again, similar idea here. Now, this is the potential daughter of Satan. I'm a little disappointed that we didn't actually pull off the whole, line of Satanists thing. But I am kind of interested in seeing how this goes. So, as cool as it would be to turn the spawn of Satan ambitious, I have a feeling she's already going to be a headache, so we're going to move on. And again, I'm not going to incur any penalties for myself. Take a quick second here. Sharp pains to my abdomen cause me to clutch my stomach. And Bishop Norbert of Metz states that his extensive medical experience leads him to a certain conclusion that I have the flu. He insists that I follow his instructions. He strapped me to my chair and had me sleep sitting upright for days. I'm glad that I hired him. Alright, I'm going to slow things down a little bit just so I can take a look at my holdings and see whether or not I have... okay, so we're going to build a hospital before anything. This is basically just kind of making sure that my infrastructure doesn't fall apart too much. Right. I already thought I was a commander. But yeah, so to what Dylan the Zombie was talking about with this DLC, one of my feelings about Monks and Mystics was that they wanted a DLC to sort of deal with the waiting periods. So right now we've got a diplomat working on forming a CB. The reason why we're getting a Casus Belli is to give us the last little bit of territory that we need to found this kingdom. This will sort of advance our status in the Holy Roman Empire, and of course it'll also eventually get me having some meaningful vassals. Ideally, I'm going to be putting sort of family members in all of these positions, but we'll see how that goes. That is actually also one of the reasons why I'm going to be upgrading the laws. We do this in December, and I'm going to be increasing it to women, increasing the status of women. Ideally, it'll be it'll go up to full status. But obviously that's going to take some time, as well as some increases to our tolerance levels. There's something else that I was going to be saying about the game. Oh yeah, so I think one of the things about Monks and Mystics, and it makes sense. I also think it's quite consistent with you're confined to your bed, your body racked with aches and chills, you contracted the flu. I think it's kind of consistent with how you would see it happening in the Middle Ages, where sort of religion plays a very different role from what we would associate. I mean, in some cases we do associate with its social role in that, but you know, you can almost see stained glass windows and such as comic books, or you know, it's something that kind of breaks the monotony. So being a member of kind of a community or a society or something like that is potentially a way that you can pass the time. So I think it's a smart way of just giving you some more things to do in between. And it looks like, based on a news post that they put, that they're actually looking for new ways to bring up Casus Bellis. So I think they're kind of addressing the fact that I think some people are having difficulty while they build up their claims, which is a bit of a shame, because I always found some of the role-playing stuff in between to be quite serviceable. But I also sort of understand where the complaints come from, and it's one of the things that I like about Paradox, is they're usually quite good at responding to feedback. So my court physician, Bishop Norbert von Metz, has come to see me and offers treatment for your illness. He explains that there are several different types of treatment that he can offer. My life is in your hands. Well, this doesn't look promising. Bishop Norbert approached you with a small knife. He held your arm steady and made a precise incision, barely breaking your skin. He then proceeded to press something against the wound. It looked like diseased tissue, and you shuddered. I should never have trusted Norbert. Jesus Christ, I got horrible mistreatment. -3 to everything. Can I imprison this motherfucker? No, he's mad because he doesn't have a proper role. Let's invite him to stargazing. Invite Bishop Norbert to a night of stargazing and studies in an attempt to better understand how it works. This is also a good opportunity to get to know each other. Alright, my courtier has carefully approached me about his Catholic beliefs and is trying to convert me to his way of worship. I will engage him in theological debate. Oh, what a surprise! My really promising character died because he had diseased tissue pushed up against his arm. This is gonna get a little tricky. Duke Rudolph II has given up the ghost at age 30. He died from a bad case of the yeah, bullshit, that was the flu. Well known to be charitable, he freely gave money to his friends and family. A godly man, Rudolph is with the Blessed Virgin now. Duke Peter, merely 7 years old, the realm is left in the capable hands of the Regent and Council. Long live Duke Peter. So, now you get to see how exciting this game gets. Berengar will be the new ruler. My brother in the Hermetic Order, Haldar, has stepped forth with an idea for a ritual that might invoke the presence of a divine being. The prospect of petitioning the divine itself for knowledge is tantalizing, and the idea was therefore received with excitement in the Order. The ritual will take place in a few weeks' time. Well, why not? Maybe it will be me that they summon back from the dead. So, Thank you very much, Jess. By the way, guys, I think I was starting to shout him out, and then I failed at it. But Johnny Big Time was actually streaming tonight. If you guys haven't checked him out on his on Mondays, I really wanted to write a thesis. Oh my God, and I'm Catholic. We're gonna convert that right away. Ugh, this is kind of gross, actually, but has to be done. So the what am I gonna do about this? So
I would never want to belong to
thank you very much for the follow, Dylan.
someone like me to remember.
Well, obvious first step is... Okay, so for those of you who don't know about the game, what happens if you are less than 16? You're... Basically, there'll be a regent who sort of runs things for you. Now, what became interesting, Conclave was a really hated patch, and I actually kind of like it because of the competition that it gave you between you and your council. So what's probably going to be happening for the next 9 years are some of my vassals are going to sort of be trying to increase their individual power. So one of the things I might want to be considering are not just people who... it's not necessarily just people who are good at their job, but I actually want to put people who are not necessarily opponents of me. Obviously, some of these guys might be converted if I appoint them to good roles, but... some of this can't be helped. My economy is kind of important, so in this case I am actually going to put one malcontent there. Spymaster is very tricky, because they can cause me some real trouble. Alright, so I'm going to keep my Spymaster scheming. We will get the Steward to collect taxes. I'm still going to research military tech in my capital, and my Chancellor I'm actually going to keep performing statecraft, and this is just to try and repair some of these relationships with everybody. So, next up, let's assign new commander. All right. Can I nominate me? Where's me? There we go. All right, I think we're ready to go with this. So part of this, I want to dig myself out of this prestige hole. What I would normally be doing with my Chancellor right now. I think I can actually give up a title as well. Or actually, I'm going to hang on to that for a second. We'll give her a stewardship education. So normally I would be taking my Chancellor and getting him to fabricate a claim on here. The fact of the matter is, though, I'm going to be worried a little bit more about sort of keeping power in my own realm. And I kind of want to do things like improve my my wealth. I also think it won't allow me to go into a further deficit by pressing that claim, although I'm not 100% on it. So what I'm basically going to be doing here is I'm keeping them on statecraft, just sort of to try and keep the wheels from sort of falling off. Now, the fact of the matter is if people try and cause like some kind of a rebellion or something like that, I probably have enough power to crush it. However, if they get my regent on their side, and he doesn't he likes me, but it's not, you know, it's not exceptional. In this case, you know, if he gets on side with, say, increasing power or something like that, then he is, you know, I don't get an option. I'm basically forced to accept that change. So it's going to be a little tricky for the next few years, but we'll do our best with what we've got. We'll talk a little bit about infrastructure now. So in terms of things that I can build, I want to focus on my capital first. There's only a few more things that we can build. So it's stables, which are going to help me with my cavalry. Similar idea with jousting lists, and finally keep. Yes. Everything else I've sort of eclipsed technologically. So what we're going to take a look at here is I'm realistically looking at least 400 wealth to spend. The game actually does call it gold now. Originally they didn't, but... Another thing I might want to consider too is if I build another holding. But that's going to cost me about 600, so I need to have a fairly good case in that particular case. So what we're going to do here is we're going to review some of my personal holdings and just see if there are any obvious upgrades I can do. So for instance, in Pfalz, if I wanted to do training grounds, it's a cheaper option, but I would sort of need to make an argument for why this particular holding needs to get the improvement. I'm actually going to take a quick second on Medieval Tinder and see if there's anything. Oh yes, sorry, Semferos. How you doing? I don't think that's anywhere near where we really want, but we also don't want somebody too old, so. Yeah, so I think realistically the claims are sort of some wishful thinking. Maybe sort by rank? We already did that. Okay. Maybe. Italian is tempting, although she's a little bit older. What would I get prestige-wise? Only 8, so I think we can do better. That's not going to work. Suddenly I hear something moving around in the bushes next to me. I ask who's there, but there's no response. So I could either investigate, and I'll gain the trait Curious, which will improve my learning, or I should tell someone. And I'm obviously going to do the stranger danger choice and investigate. I found an injured bird. It seems to have fallen from its nest. Maybe I can keep it while it recovers. What a great day. You live in Baden. Excellent. All right. You know, this is maybe the wrong way of looking at it. So we've got the Duchy of Swabia. Aha. Doesn't want it because of matrilineal marriage. Yeah, well, be a little easier. A little too easy, I guess. So she's currently pregnant. That's not going to work. There's too many. I'm trying to find somebody who can like inherit the title, and I'm not going to have to commit too many murders to get the claim from. So theoretically, if I pursued this, so it'd be a yes, but we've got 3 dudes in the way. I don't think that's very realistic. Okay, new. So we've got a new regent. Guido was appointed here. So we're going to take a quick second and see if we can get a better chaplain. We cannot, so we'll hold off on that. Let's take a look at the other counties in the kingdom that I want. So Luxembourg. Apparently nobody is claiming it. But there are some daughters. Alright. So we're going to arrange this betrothal. And now we're going to no valid plots draft. So I'm going to have to... Oh, interesting. She's also... She's actually from the bloodline. So what I was kind of thinking of here, we'll get ourselves into a position where I'm going to try and sort of assassinate my way to that title, passing down to this daughter, and we basically we pick it up from there. I guess it's not so bad that I'm holding on. We'll see how this plays out. She's probably not going to be having children for that much longer anyway, so yeah, we might be able to get a claim on Luxembourg. Now again, it'll probably pass down to the next generation, but I'm okay with that. We'll move forward. Anything else I can do? Not really. I think I'm just going to be sitting here waiting for me to come of age. We also didn't get to change the status of women, unfortunately, so that's going to be a little inconvenient. Alright, we're going to speed things up. Oh yeah, actually we were talking a bit about daughter was born to Guido and... Okay, cool. Not too worried about that, although she's a sickly child. Alright, so I think we're talking about infrastructure. So first thing that I kind of want to do is focus on income producing upgrades. So this means things like castle walls, castle town. It's good for me if technology is inhibiting that. So as you can see here, we're doing a pretty good job of sort of keeping on top of the upgrades that we want to do. So Castle Town with 411, that's probably going to be the first upgrade that I do. And another Castle Town. And then from there, we'll sort of consider what the next few steps are. So we'll head up to, we're looking for about 411. It doesn't hurt to have a little bit of a surplus, so I'm not going to worry too much about getting it at the second. But the other thing I need to remember is I also own this castle here, which has kind of been neglected. But I think I'm going to take care of my main holdings first, because this one I'm going to give up if I start running out of room. Incidentally, for those of you curious why it said that my demesne size was too large before and now it didn't change, there's a few things that this game does. So number one, you've got your individual stats. Now the fact of the matter is Stewardship 2 is not going to help things. It turns out that, 7 or 9-year-olds aren't very good at managing, 8 counties. Imagine that. But that's not the only thing that's happening in the game. When you get married, your wife will actually give you some bonuses to stats, but also your council will give you some stats. So I was facing a little bit of a trade-off when I was appointing these people to the roles. That's why I was actually willing to go for somebody who has a negative opinion of me, because in the end, having a better steward means that my demesne size is going to be potentially larger. That means that I don't get the penalty to the army levies. So we're actually going to have a fairly strong army. We're going to have about 10,000 people when all is said and done. My liege, I'm pleased to report that your errant subject, Adeline, has converted to the Lollard faith. Praise the Lord. All right. Chaplain is doing what he's supposed to be doing. Unfortunately, we don't get to have a lot of the fun in terms of conquering things, but we are going to start upgrading our holdings. Where was this? It was Bar, I think. My court physician, Bishop Norbert, has suggested that I buy him some new equipment for his laboratory so that he can perform more advanced experiments. Well, I don't think it would be in my interest as well, but anything that keeps him from pushing diseased flesh against me. And we still have enough money to upgrade, so in this case we'll put the money into the castle town. Again, the idea here is that with most games that I play, I like to try and put the investment... You know what, I probably overspent on... No, it's actually probably the same. I like to put the money into the income-producing objects as soon as I can. And I mean, especially at this stage where... You know, I already have sort of the largest army in the immediate area. I mean, obviously I'm not going to be able to take on the Kaiser, although he certainly seems to have his hands full at the moment. So we're going to lose Susa and Brabant. You know, the fact of the matter is because I don't plan on taking on the Kaiser anytime soon, any other fights that I'll be getting into, I'm in fairly good shape. One nice thing, too, is once I take this kingdom, I can sort of start credibly maybe moving in on Burgundy, or I think it'd be a little optimistic to think I could take on France. France has currently got 11,000 troops, and they're not at full capacity. But basically, once I'm at a king level, I can sort of start gobbling up some of these other regions. So, for instance, a very natural extension would sort of be to go north to Frisia, which is currently fighting for its independence from the Holy Roman Empire, or maybe heading down into Burgundy and recapturing some of that territory that was lost there. Again, those are a little bit more natural movements, whereas now I kind of want to keep everything consolidated in case I have a rebellion or something like that. My court physician, Bishop Norbert, has reluctantly let me know that the equipment I bought for his laboratory was outright dangerous to use. If he had not noticed, maybe I would have been informed about his demise in a laboratory accident instead, and it would have been fitting. My research had better be more thorough next time. I don't know, the whole disease flesh thing is basically a step towards immunization. Maybe he's onto something. Sure. I'm sure that's his argument. But what you can see here, actually, this is maybe not a bad example in terms of how... monks and mystics, at least for me, is something that becomes easily missed once you've gotten used to it. Like, right now, I'm really just sort of sitting waiting for this regency to end. Which is kind of funny because, of course, you know, I was perfectly content. I mean, you guys have, most of you anyway, have seen me play this game for a while. My dear liege, I was just approached by Wolfgang Wetten. He tried to convince me to join him in his vile heresy. I hope you can convince him to see sense. Your faithful courtier. Of course we'll demand reconversion. My dear liege, I assure you that I am a righteous believer. I shall close my ears to the spoutings of local heretics and pray for their imminent eradication. Your faithful courtier, Wolfgang. What was I going to say? Yeah, so I mean, I played this game, you know, hundreds of hours not having secret societies, but now that they're in the game, I will be, I'm going to be missing them, so. I think in this case, what's my current tax income? Yeah, there's no real argument. We should go for the castle town. Again, this is potentially a holding that I'm going to be giving up, and one of the biggest reasons for me being reluctant to do this is that my obligations are actually levy focused, which means that if I were to give that title away for somebody, they would another rebellion. Increased council power. Duke Ernst for the Holy Roman Empire. Ernst is Catholic, so I actually might want to do something to stop that. It's been a long day outside, and Ion Bragatoni says it is time to head back home. He is carrying some heavy bags. Maybe this time I can beat him. So I can say race him, or yeah. Ian chased me and caught me. Maybe next time I can run fast enough. I can say he is so fast. Alright, what are we looking at for... So I have 9k levies. I actually... Oh god, this is the guy. This might get really interesting, actually, because we are going to be marrying this daughter. I actually want to see how this plays out. I'm not going to interfere, because this might lead to us getting a much bigger title. Hey, Biohazard, how you doing? You keep trying to like this game, but holy heck, that UI and all those little buttons, you don't know the difference between a Duke or an Earl or... Alright, well, I'll tell you this. So first I'm going to take the education. So in this case I usually just go for whatever traits are complementary. My liege, I'm pleased to report the success of my mission to Metz. Majority of the population have been converted to the Lollard faith. Your humble court chaplain. Excellent. Alright. Right around the time that the Holy Roman Empire might become Catholic again, we're going to continue with our conversions. Next up, this is... So, Gippard... So, Biohazard, what I'll try and do here, I'll give you a quick overview. So, the hierarchy in terms of... how... I need a new marshal who doesn't hate me. Also, I should take a quick look and see... I don't think anybody's going to convert. Can't get any respect as king. So the game actually gives you... The one thing about this game that really appeals to me is that it is actually very good at presenting information visually. But there's a little bit of a dilemma, which is I'm kind of going from the perspective that like I've lifted myself up to a level where I'm very comfortable with the game. And so it's easy for me to say stuff like this, and I appreciate from an outside view, this might be a little more challenging. So let's deal with ranks first. I can just tell you intuitively, it goes titles which you can't hold. The only Lollard heresy has appeared in the county of Lübeck. This is a good thing. So basically goes from titles that you can't really play solo as. So what I'm thinking of here is mayor. Even that's a little bit untruthful, because of course here you've got the Serene Doge of Venice. So in that case, technically you are like running the city. But to give you an example here, if I was the mayor of this city, and that was the only title I had, the game would be over. Yes. Starting to improve my prestige. So the lowest rank that you can have is Count. And how do you know you're a Count? Well, basically you've got a castle. Let's give him Marshal. So basically you've got borders here. This is how the whole map is divided into a whole series of counties. And basically, as long as you've got a castle or something equivalent, of course, I had to pick a I had to pick the... Let's do India, actually, because India actually has. Okay? Something like this. Then you are a count or whatever the regional equivalent is. Also, if you go to the Byzantine Empire, similar idea, right? You'll see a castle as the capital. Duke Peter. This is me. So I could improve my intrigue, or I could improve my diplomacy, or I could go for learning. My stewardship's kind of weak, though. And let's go for diplomacy. So anyways, sorry, this is actually a very simple idea, and I'm making a meal out of it. So basically, the county, consider the county to sort of be the atomic unit. It's not exactly true because you've got these lower titles here, but for the purposes of things that you own and run, consider the county to be the most fundamental unit. So duchies are composed of counties. So if you take a bundle of counties, you can get a duchy, and you can actually see the de jure, or de jure, duchies here. Sometimes places like this, it's a little hard. So you've got Alsace over here, and you've got Lower Lorraine here. So, I mean, you can see there's a difference in the shades, but it's maybe not as obvious as you'd like it to be. So maybe we'll head over here, right? If you zoom out far enough, it'll tell you you've got Aquitaine and Bourbon here. But if you want to be taking a look at the individual county names, depending on the map mode that you're on, it's going to give you different information. So if I go for terrain, it's going to tell me that this is plains, whereas this is also plains. I would have thought this is more forested. Here's a forest area, right? So clearly based on the physical terrain features, which is what I'm looking at, it's giving me different information. When I go to the de jure duchies, it's going to let me know that this is the Duchy of Aquitaine, where I'm specifically looking at Bordeaux, and further we've got the Duchy of Gascogne, and right now I'm looking at Marsan. So, and as it turns out, it actually also gives the terrain information that you need. So, counts are sort of the lowest level that you can play, at least in the feudal system. Dukes are the immediate sort of lord of counts in most cases, but basically Duke is the next step up. You can actually also tell if somebody's a Duke by looking at the outer ring. So notice here that I've got a vassal. Oh yes, I don't have any counts below me. So let's go over to good old Ulm. All right, Countess Cecile, as you can see, very simple ring. You can also tell from the crown, so in this case it's a very simple crown, whereas if you look at her liege, you can see a little bit of a fancier crown. Okay, so this is Duke Rutger. You could tell that I am a duke either from my, my outline like this, or you could also look at the fact that I own 2 duchies. Okay, so you go counties, duchies. Now, let's say I didn't know where there was a king inside of here. I can actually just go to de jure kingdoms, right? There's about 5 in the Holy Roman Empire, I think. Yeah. Bohemia might actually be in there as well. Yeah, so there's 6. But basically the idea here, king is probably the most intuitive. A king sort of is the next step up from a duke. Now, an important thing to remember here is that the vassals that a king can have are actually both dukes and counts, right? So if we take a look at the King of Bohemia, we've got dukes here. Down below, we've got counts, and we also have some bishops and mayors and such. So again, the vassals can be any title below what you have. The important thing, though, is that mayors don't count against your vassal limit. So it's why I kind of distinguish from them. So again, you've got counts and counties. You own a castle, basically. Duchies are composed of counties. Kingdoms are composed of duchies. And finally, you have empires. If you want, you can use one of the pre-built empires. So Hispania, Francia, Italia, the Byzantine Empire, Holy Roman Empire, Britannia, Wendish, Scandinavia, Tartaria, Russia, Persia. You all can read. I don't know why I'm reading these out to you. But basically, the way you can think about that is emperors can have kings as vassals. And I think the only real empire that's guaranteed is the Byzantine Empire. I don't remember if the Abbasids start off as... Actually, I guess they are... I think the Abbasids are an empire, now that I think of it. Anyways, empires are not always guaranteed. Although they're fun, so... but yeah, that's basically how it breaks down. Now, one of the things I will recommend here for you by her, I mean, first of all, it's not everybody's job to like Crusader Kings, right? I guess I should do something about this. The siege is probably going to be over by the time I'm actually done, but... I wasn't even paying attention, so... I'll be there in time for the siege after party. Well, that's a load off my mind. I also don't know if I have any commander. I mean, I'll have the numbers, but I don't really know if I have any commanders that will make this an enjoyable fight. On the plus side, I mean, it does mean that somebody with my, with sort of family ties, I sort of had my eye on taking Luxembourg. I suspect that's not going to happen now. Well, actually, I guess it depends what happens to this guy's titles. This actually may not be bad for me, because he's probably not going to be having any more kids after this. You know, I'm almost wondering if it makes sense to just run in and, yeah. We're just going to get the rest of the bodies joining in when they can. Okay, so we built the castle town. I think that's actually the place under siege. Nope, I was wrong. And let's take a quick look at how the fight's turning out. So again, for those of you new to the game, you don't directly control the combat. Thinking about things, I have concluded that everything in the world is not as the priests say. It feels great to learn, so I've become shrewd. Let's see whether or not I made a terrible decision doing this attack, because the numbers are not looking good right now. But basically the game's it's gonna use its own sort of tactics in these cases. The problem is I don't have any commanders for these flanks, whereas they do. So I'm effectively relying on sheer force of numbers. Fortunately, in this game, numbers matter quite a bit more. And it does look like I'm slowly turning the tide, but it's gonna be... Oh, I just lost the middle. We're not gonna win this. Oh my god, the flanks actually pulled it off. I mean, I was only doing this so I could kind of hang on to what's mine. I didn't want to lose the money. Cool. So we gained some prestige from that, piety, and military technology. And it does cost me money to have this army set up, so we'll... disband it, and we can speed things up. Although I should find some more things for me to spend money on. So we can do castle town, castle walls. I think we'll build the castle town. And again, just quickly returning, making sure there isn't anything new from technological progress that we can build. Most of the things kind of make makes sense here. But like I said, before I do anything exciting, I want to make sure that I sort of do all of my castle walls and all of my castle towns. So this is actually a good example of an upgrade that I want to do. I've already got something building here, so if we hit the 400 level, we'll put some money into that upgrade. Oh yeah, I kept telling myself I was gonna go down to level 1 instead of pausing. Alright, so a whole bunch of mutually contradictory stats. Let's give him a martial education. It's mostly just so I can have a big stack of generals ready in my pocket. Anyway, so Biohazard, if you're still listening, so again, like I said, it's, you know, I'm happy to play Crusader Kings so people can play it vicariously through me. But I will say, one of the ways that I make sense out of this game is I start with me, right? I start with the individual. I mean, this game is entirely about the relationship between individuals, the liege and the vassal and such. And so I get a rough idea. I mean, this menu tells you a lot. It'll tell you what your forces look like. It'll tell you roughly what you're good at in the game. This is also a nice division in terms of labor. And of course, it's also good for comparison. So for instance, if I know that I'm going to be heading after the Duchy of Swabia, I know that currently they only have about 3,000 levies. And when they're at full capacity, they're at about 5,000. I can also take a look at things like pacts and see that the only thing that they really have is a non-aggression pact, and that's with their wife, who has exactly 0 armies to back that up. She also has cancer, so sucks to be her. But basically, this screen will give you a lot of information if you sort of know where to look, and I think the majority of this game is about knowing where to look. This will tell you this will kind of tell you what you need to know at a given moment. So, you know, I don't normally stay on the epidemic screen, right? But if there's one nearby, I might kind of care, right? Defensive pacts is also important. If I was to be particularly aggressive in my expansion, it's possible that, I mean, seeing as I am a Lollard, one thing that might happen is a bunch of Catholic nations might get together and say, all right, if these guys attack us, we all need to get together. Remember, we were also talking about the feudal system, about counts and dukes and kings and so on and so forth. So you can also see, right, when I clicked on these nomadic areas, I had something completely different from here. So Ikta and feudal are basically the same thing. Ikta is just the Muslim equivalent. There's some different mechanics if you play Muslims, but basically you don't need to worry too much. Holy crap! Pisa's killing it. Looks like they need a little bit of freedom. Or whatever I call my feudal. Anyway. So once you get kind of past this individual, there's only so much that the individual screen's going to give you, but like it gives you a nice overview, and it sort of tells you the most important information as directly relates to you. And of course, I mean, now I get to see all the cool stuff that I hold. Not equipped. Can't equip. Artifact is inactive. Is this maybe because I'm not old enough? We'll see. So next step. Once you get past the individual, now your internet is being pretty screwy and it's messing with Twitch, so you'll take your leave now. All right, Dylan the Zombie. I mean, also, I'm kind of doing really noob level stuff, but thank you very much for your follow. I hope to get a chance to see you again. If you can hear this, we do Crusader Kings every Monday, and we're currently doing Stellaris on Wednesdays. We'll see how that continues, but Stellaris will be replacing this once we finish the Crusader Kings playthrough. So have a good one, and we'll talk to you later. So, well, I say we'll talk to you. That's very presumptuous on my part, but hope to talk to you later. So yeah, the way you can sort of look at your council is sort of the most direct way, or sorry, the second most direct way that you can influence your realm. Obviously, your individual interactions with people are going to be the most direct influence that you can hold on events of the game, but your council is your sort of your Oops, I messed up. This guy was supposed to be doing technology. This is sort of how you can impose your will. I actually need to decide where Stellaris is, because everybody really seemed to enjoy Sunless Sea on Wednesday, so it's not clear to me which one I should go for. Alright, so this is my heir. I think it's got a clubfoot. I think we're gonna go for money traits. So anyways, your council, you can sort of divide. What this is doing here is you're adding a little more complexity. You're adding in sort of the 5. Sorry guys, just one quick second. Son was born to Prince Ian of Georgia and Walpurga von Metz named Heinrich. So what you can look at basically for this one is you're now dividing the realm amongst focuses. The way to, so again, you can sort of think of it as governed by the given stats, right? So your chancellor is your diplomat. What they added with monks and mystics, which I think was a great one, is sort of standing orders. So in this case, if I don't tell my chancellor to do anything else, they're going to perform statecraft for me, which means they're going to be improving relationships with individuals. That's why my council doesn't hate me as much as it used to. But just generally, it's going to sort of improve everybody's sort of views and relationships with me. I could use it to improve diplomatic relations with a specific person, and this is both outside the country and also within. So this is if you want to have a little bit more of a direct hand on what the Chancellor does. Fabricate claims, which is sort of what I want to be focusing on as I expand my territory. I don't think... Oh, actually... I can't declare holy war on somebody who is in the realm. That's a shame. So I use fabricate claims a lot. And then there's sow dissent. Now what that's going to do is that's going to affect the opinion rating between that, basically the vassals and the liege. So in that particular case, if you knew that there was a... So for instance, let's say this guy, his force right now, what you can see here is that about 3/4 of it is his own personal holdings. But let's say for whatever reason I needed to knock out, 500 troops or something like that. I felt really confident after that. What I could do is I could start sowing dissent, and that would mean that maybe potentially he has a rebellion, or he, some of his vassals are a little more reluctant to approve a war or something like that. It's sort of just a way that you can cause some indirect problems. This is actually, so if I were in a different situation where Upper Lorraine would actually be causing me some trouble in terms of the fact that they were strong enough, I would actually consider doing something like sow dissent just to sort of destabilize them and make sure they wouldn't cause me too much grief. Your marshal. So your standing order for the marshal is to organize the army. This will mean that the commanders are start getting trained. Actually, speaking of which, I'm a little bothered by the fact that I didn't have so many commanders. Okay, so Guido's my steward. That's not going to work. Kinsman, courtier, vassal. Okay. Hopefully that'll fix the problem. They can suppress revolts. Now, I don't actually have that much of a problem with a revolt, so I never really use this option. I do often use trained troops. So again, what you can do, you can suppress some of what your opponent's doing by sowing dissent, and then of course you can improve your own strength by training troops. And again, because I'm sort of a fairly weighty power in my region, I'm actually focusing on researching military tech so that I can keep that edge. I don't need to worry so much about manpower. Next up, you've got your steward. So steward, as sort of is implied by all of the icons, is very economy focused. Their standing order is administer realm, so this will be things like improving prosperity and cultural conversion. In this case, I'm directly getting them to collect taxes. Now, where we're talking about dividing up the map into visual information, here's a great example of how this works. So we can look at the economy screen. I mouse over. Metz is currently making 81.1 tax income. Now that is also from the effect of collecting taxes, but as you can see here, pretending for a moment, actually, here's what we're going to do. Let's pretend that we are the emperor right now. So we own Austria, Passau, and Istria. This emperor sucks. All right. So this is currently making 99.1 and 93.2. Now, I'm assuming that there isn't a chancellor here. I can't really know that. Well, I can technically find this out. So the chancellor is, or sorry, the steward is currently secluded, so it doesn't do anything. So in this case here, I would want the 99.1 because if I'm using that particular ability, right, this is saying to improve the local tax modifier by 37.5%. Well, because you're improving it by a percentage, what you want to do is you want to have the starting base level. There's no advantage to going somewhere else inside the county. If you wanted to do things like improve prosperity, you would do administer realm. If you're doing a lot of construction, obviously oversee construction, and then there's also research economy tech, which is actually something I'd really like to do, except that just getting the money to build all of these buildings is too good to pass up at the moment. Spymaster scheme has actually changed, so now this is a standing order to sort of consider as sort of counter espionage. Sabotage province. This is a really interesting one. So basically, you go into a province or a county, and you sort of cause damage to neighbors. So this is another way that you can disrupt them. There's build a spy network. So if you're trying to assassinate somebody, being able to build that spy network is going to improve the plot power, and as a result, it's going to help you gain your ends. You can also find things like you can kind of dig up dirt on people, which is another good one. And then finally, you can study technology. So one way that you can actually get yourself an edge on that, let's just take a quick look at where I'm sitting in my my capital. So depending on where you put your mouse, you'll notice there's different levels. Right, so right now our light infantry lags a little bit, especially relative to our heavy infantry. So I could say to myself, all right, well, I have a lot of light infantry. Maybe I want to improve this, especially because I like skirmishers. So we can take a look at the relative spread, and we can say, okay, so the light infantry experts are actually over in Prague. Usually the Muslim countries and the Byzantine Empire has some pretty strong technology as well. But basically, what you get out of this view, you can say it's like, okay, well, I'm going to maybe put some characters in these areas. Now, I'd be a little hesitant to put my Spymaster in some of these areas because they're capitals. What I usually would want to do is put them into sort of a particularly, a high-level area that's not a capital. So like maybe in the middle of the desert here or something like that. Not the most exciting assignment, but it's also unlikely that they're going to be scheming in those areas. Oh, actually, I guess that doesn't count anymore because scheme is a standing order. So it used to be that I wouldn't put them in specific counties, but actually now I guess they would get caught no matter what. So I suppose it doesn't matter if I put them in the capital. I'm going to need to think about that a bit. Anyways, Court Chaplain, your last one. So you can hunt apostates. Now, as the Holy Roman Empire found out, potentially to its detriment, if you don't do this, then you potentially have heresy that comes up and steals your religion from you. I'm currently proselytizing. The reason I want to do that is I have increases to revolt risk because of having the wrong religion. So notice here, Mainz is a member of the Lollard faith. Its revolt risk is 0%. So it's also the case in Pfalz, just because I've already crushed a revolt. But you'll notice here that all of these places have plus 3% to revolt risk. Actually, Bar has it's slightly off-colored, so in this case, there's actually a positive probability of a rebellion coming up in Bar. So, I mean, I can use my marshal to suppress that, but one of the reasons why I'm proselytizing right now is, one, to help me with my relationships with my vassals, but more importantly, just bring these counties under heel, because their rebellion's probably not going to happen at a time when I've got 10,000 troops to crush them. It's going to happen at a time when it's really inconvenient. If I don't do that, I usually like to research cultural tech. Cultural tech's a really important one in this game. Have a good one, Elkanu. We're actually going to be finishing in a couple minutes anyway, so you chose a good time. Have a wonderful evening, and I'm looking forward to your cast next. Did I ever actually shout out Johnny Big Time? I feel really bad. I'm sorry, my mind's going. Cultural tech is kind of important for two reasons. Legalism will give you new forms of government. And tolerance is going to allow you to have the potential for greater breadth in terms of your in terms of the different roles that people can take on. If you increase the status of women in your kingdom, then you effectively double the number of people that you can draw from in terms of talents. And again, because you know that the talents of your council translate to your individual talents, you actually do want. It's funny. This is a very very progressive game, because every mechanic in this game actually improve, like, every incentive you have is to improve the status of women. So, take that as you will. Goddamn Swedish SJWs ruining a masculine Crusaden game. Last thing is improving religious relations. I have a feeling that the Pope's going to be mad at me for reasons other than the fact that my court chaplain doesn't come to visit him enough. So that one maybe not so important for me right now, but bishops are a really nice way of... Oh my goodness, Twitching Top Hats. Thank you very much for that host. We got 23 viewers right now. I feel actually very bad about that, because we're going to be wrapping up soon. But thank you very much for that, and everybody who's stopping by, welcome. Sorry I had such a short cast, but couldn't be helped tonight. If you guys can just give me a quick second here. All right. What else was I talking about? So that's kind of all the council. So like the way... Guido does not approve of my open and talkative nature and decided to beat it out of me. I'll speak of his cruelty to everyone and gain the trait gregarious. Gregarious is one of these things that seems really easy to get, and it's really good. Like, it improves your attraction and improves your diplomacy. I don't know why you take the options against it. But anyways, the reason why I'm, Nameless Hollow, more CK2, you always appreciate it, even if you're ending now. Well, thank you, Nameless Hollow. I do feel bad about it, but, like I said, I need to get my, hours back in line. I might reconsider maybe just adding another Crusader Kings Day or something like that. Oh yeah, I should actually build up my some of my infrastructure before I go. Otherwise, I'm going to forget that next cast. I think we're... Oh no, we still have castle towns that we can build. And can't afford that, but we can afford the castle walls. But anyways, Biohazard. I mean, anybody who isn't too, anybody who's, not.
I would never want to.
Oh, thank you so much for that follow, Nameless.
Someone like me for a minute.
I think one of the best things that I can sort of say, like, we were talking about. I think I gave you a little bit of an example. Like, I can enumerate all of this, and I'm willing to guess that you may not even remember the distinction that I made between like Count and Duke before. And I mean, obviously you can, even if you just do a Wikipedia search or something like that, right? Money has been disappearing from the treasury, and I suspect my regent Guido. There's no proof, but we can imprison him once we grow up. I guess one of the big things that I can say is, if you try to understand everything at once, you're going to, you're just going to have a bad time, and it's going to feel overwhelming. And it's kind of by design, right? Like, this game is entirely about the idea of heavy is the head that wears the crown. You cannot manage everything. The game is designed to make it that way, right? I'm at my maximum demand size, 8 of 8. If I try to take any more counties and run them, my kingdom will not run well. My duchy will not run well. So what it is instead about is just learning what to focus on at your time. I mean, an analogy I can draw, I used to TA computer science. And one of the things that we taught, we would start people off on a sort of learning programming language called Racket. For the computer nerds out there, Racket is an offshoot of Scheme, which is an offshoot of Lisp. So it's the sort of thing that I don't think anybody I ever TA'd will voluntarily go out and use again. But the reason we used that was that it got focused on sort of fundamentals. And what we would do is we would teach people to build programs through making it sort of a series of functions. You sort of say, what do you want to put into the function, and what do you want to put it out? So if I sit down and I type into some kind of into Vim or Visual Studio or whatever, make a video game, I'm not going to get Crusader Kings 2. I'm not going to get anything, right? To make a video game, you need to consider a big series of systems. I mean, a very good, a great exercise if you wanted to make a game, take a board game that you love and implement it. Right? And what you're going to learn is that you go from saying, make Twilight Struggle in Unity or something like that. You're going to take that and you're going to say, it's like, okay, well, what I'm going to do, let me start off by making a system. At some point, I'm going to need to find a way of drawing cards from a deck, right? So I'll build that. And maybe even drawing cards from a deck is too much. So you build a bunch of smaller functions. But basically what you do is you go from the big task and you slowly divide it into increasingly smaller tasks until you have something that you can handle. And it might even be something very simple like, add two numbers together. But the idea here is that you want to take your problems and you want to break them down to the smallest bits that you can. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Biohazard. So again, simple case here. I've got an ambition right now of getting this king title. Okay, if you want to know what that takes, you can actually find the title. Oops, not the duchy. Okay, if I create it, I'm going to need 51% of the de jure counties. I've got 43%, 7 of 16. That means I'm going to need two more. I'm going to need two more counties. So it sort of makes sense for me to take the Duchy of Alsace. It also helps because, whoa, he's got mercenaries. Yeah, I'm really glad that oh, cool. Somebody's actually. It looks like somebody's trying to press their claim. Anyways, so yeah, I don't want to fight him right now. I want to wait until he's bankrupt and then fight him. But basically, my intermediate step towards becoming this king. So the big problem is, how do I get some titles? Well, an easy way for me to look at that would be, all right, well, just, find a weak neighbor and absorb them. Now, I'm not using my chancellor for that. Yet another reason you gave up on programming. Too many systems and functions gets too crazy. If you have a team, it's much easier, but on your own, it's a headache. I think it kind of depends on the nature of the problem. So, like, one thing I'm going to be doing, it's actually one reason why I'm sort of falling behind on getting casting done, is I am actually trying to implement a couple of mods for Crusader Kings. I'm not sure if they're going to announce Crusader Kings through at ParadoxCon, though. Like, I might be wasting my time if I make a mod for Crusader Kings 2 because there might be a new game that gets released, but nothing. I mean, I just take the things that I work on before. But anyways, you can sort of see the logic, right? Which is like, I want to be king is the ambition. It's like, okay, well, fine, but, you know, that's also kind of an ill-defined goal, right? So, hey, Astral Seer, we're actually just wrapping up, and I know I say this to you a lot. But yeah, so in this particular case, we're saying, here's a couple of counties which are within these borders. They're neighboring my, you know, my armies. They're really going to be just at my mercy when the time comes. So this seems to be the logical way. Why? Because I know that when I get those 2 counties, I'm going to have enough to create the king title. And then when I get the king title, I can worry about managing the rest of the titles and so on and so forth. But that's an example of how you go from this individual window here and you break it down into those smaller and smaller parts. And it can even be something simple like, you know, okay, well, I want more money. Out of the 4 options I see here, this seems to be most directly related to making money because of the special tithes. All right. Well, I know that I cannot discern, based on this alone, what the most valuable county is. So I switch to the economy menu, right? It doesn't have to be rocket science, but this gives me the information that I need, right? In fact, when I take over Nordgau, it's possible that I might actually want to change my my chancellor to that. But right now, Metz is my most profitable. Oh, actually, Pfalz is now my most profitable. So I might actually consider moving my yeah, so in this case, Pfalz was actually the better call. So you can see this applies right here. And again, there's only 2 things that I need to know in that case. Collect taxes and economy. So what it just basically comes down to, this is actually one of the reasons why, unlike Europa Universalis, starting off as a count is actually a really fun way to play this game. Because when it comes down to it, if you have only 1 county, yes, you don't have a lot of power, but what it does mean is that you're able to focus all of your counselors into this one focused area, and you're able to learn. You have fewer degrees of freedom, and so as a result, there's going to be a little bit less that sort of adjusts. Or if you're Norse, just go raiding. Yes, I mean, obviously everything I'm talking about here is specific to the feudal system. But yeah, I mean, that's the best I can say. Biohazard is that, you know, this game. So this game is designed, the idea for Paradox has been to make games with what are called like long tails. So like when you buy Crusader Kings, they want you to spend hundreds of hours playing this game. And it's very easy to do. And even though I've played this game for hundreds of hours, there's still new things for me to learn. In fact, to give you an idea, I've had tremendous enjoyment. I've played 1 Norse game. You guys actually might remember that as when we played Denmark and founded Scandinavia and such. And I've played a little bit of 1 Muslim game, but the rest of my time has mostly been spent playing a Merchant Republic. So you prefer to start as a count on or a small kingdom. Yeah, that's the best way. And now you really want to play, but you don't have all the expansions. Well, roguelike. Actually, this is one thing we should do. I know some people on Cast have been talking about wanting to do multiplayer games. I've always been really hesitant to stream multiplayer games. Merchant Republic, Mr. Economist? Shh. It can be Astral Seer, but there's ways you can boost it. You can. I've expanded pretty rapidly as Venice. So I think it kind of depends on where you put your money and how good you're at. I'm also bloodthirsty. I've had Merchant Republic games where my family never gives up the role of Doge. And it's usually through a big series of assassinations. By the way, if you haven't noticed, the Kaiser took advantage of the rebellion to take Luxembourg. But yeah, that's the best that I can say here, Biohazard, is like when it comes right down to it. You really want to found a Merchant Republic on your Norse game, but you spend all your time crushing revolts and rebellions. Yeah. My favorite is always to turn Ireland as a Merchant Republic. For some reason, I just really like the idea of doing that. But I'm just weird. Anyways, guys, I have been promising that it's time to call an end. I know this is a little bit more of a low-key playthrough, and I mean, it was a really short cast tonight, and I'm sorry for that. But a quick recap, so we've removed our requirement to ourselves to play a succession of Satanists. This is because the Lollard heresy basically took over the Holy Roman Empire. We are a good Lollard, and we've slowly been converting our provinces. The Regency has not been too difficult on us, although it was really disappointing to have Dad die like that, because he was actually a pretty good character. I'm fairly certain we would have made some good progress with him. But as always, we will be continuing this on next week. Again, I'm toying with the idea of maybe doing another day. For the days that I have a short cast, I might do like another day on Crusader Kings, but there's a lot of stuff that I need to cover. We might do Dead Cells again, because that's going to be going into early access tomorrow as in Wednesday. You can Nameless Hollow. So you do, as Jesse Quill says, you do need the Monks and Mystics DLC, but oh well, the Hermetic Society is here. But if you join Lucifer's Own, and then there's if you're playing Norse, it's not Lucifer's Own, but it'll be very obvious. It'll be obvious which one. But yeah, it's pretty fun. A lot of people are complaining that it's a bit OP right now. But I think that was also the same complaint about the Old Gods when it came out, that Vikings are OP. I find it very fun. A lot of it adds, whatever secret society you play, it actually adds a lot of character to the game. But I think more importantly, the Satanists, I don't know, they have a lot of really fun events inside of them. So, Hell for Norse, thank you. But yeah, I'll leave it to you guys to check it out. We'll cover all the Secret Society stuff. I've got about half a year before my 16th birthday, and then we'll start I don't know, we'll start playing around with some secret societies. I'm not clear. I don't have any sin yet because I'm a kid, but we'll see what happens for secret societies. We'll probably try and join the Hermetics again, although my learning's probably too low for that. Anyways, guys, this was a lot of fun. Even though it was a little bit more of a low-key game, this is a bit of an idea of how you can, I guess, proactively outlast a Regency. Actually, one last thing I'm going to do is just quickly... Wololo Wibble Warbles, thank you very much for that follow. And guys, I don't get a chance to see Twitchy Top Hats, but this is not the first time he's raided me, and it's actually really nice. I'll admit, I've been a little worried about the sort of the decline in terms of follows on the cast. So it actually means a lot that you guys are giving me a shot with the follows. So I'm going to guess that most of you guys came from that cast and that you are regulars there. So if you could please extend him my very sincere thanks for this. It actually is, it means a lot to me that that people are doing that. And more importantly, that you guys are so, you guys are so good in terms of being an audience. So obviously I should say this myself, but if you can extend that, I would appreciate it tremendously. As for me, as usual, Mondays will be Crusader Kings 2. If you would like to know what game is going to be played, I normally announce it on Twitter beforehand, or of course you can just get the notification when I go live here. Wednesday is most likely going to be Stellaris, but again, there was a pretty high demand for Sunless Sea, and I know the Alexis Kennedy writing Horizon Signal was a big feature behind that, so I think it might depend on whether or not the Adams patch comes out. Yeah, I guess I can't do Dead Cells. I don't know, Dead Cells is coming out on the 10th, and I would like to cover that again, so maybe we'll do that tomorrow if I have the time. Alright, well thank you very much for that, Nameless Hollow. And then Friday something special is happening. I don't want to announce it until... Yes, and when the new Hearts of Iron 4 DLC comes out, we'll probably do that. Although I know Hearts of Iron 4, I think, is going through a little bit of growing pains. So, but yeah, there's going to be something special happening on Friday. Because this has had to be rescheduled a couple of times, I can't tell you exactly what it is, but it's pretty exciting. So I probably won't be casting here for it, but I will let you guys know as soon as I have a definite time. But that's the best way to say, follow the cast, if you want to know when I go live, follow the Twitter if you want to know sort of in advance what's going on, or you just like hearing my opinions about things. And I will wish you all a very good night. Before we go, we'll find somebody to host. Now, I will caution you guys, I don't normally do Crusader Kings hosts, just because I've got so many people to to talk to. There is one other caster right now called Shimply. So if you guys would like some Crusader Kings 2, I completely understand that. I know it's a game that doesn't get streamed a whole lot. Just click on the game down below, and that will get you in touch with the streamers doing it. Like I said, I haven't seen them, but they do have 3 viewers, so I think it would mean a lot to them if you did check it out, if you were looking only for Crusader Kings 2. As for me, I do have a couple of people who I kind of like to boost up, and in this case, in honor of Jesse Quill's Star Wars streams, Kilgore Trout is doing Knights of the Old Republic 2, the Sith Lords, and Kilgore Trout is an absolutely wonderful streamer. He is a member of the GOG.com team. He does a lot of classic games. He's just got a really positive attitude, and he's got a really entertaining cast. So, oh, and you know what? I was wrong. He's not casting on his own channel, but he's casting on the GOG.com channel. So I think that's probably the best place for us to go. But like I said, if you guys are just here for Crusader Kings 2, please click that game link. There is a smaller caster who's doing it, and I'm sure they'll be very happy to get the views. So for those of you coming along to raid GOG.com, we're tired of System Talk, heard this place was better. So have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you next time.